What's up, everyone, and welcome to PureGlass Podcast, my creative space where I keep things all the way transparent and keep it 100 about these movies and give my popular opinions as well. So, guys, look, I know it's a little bit of a weird angle. My camera is charging right now. I went to pull it out to do my podcast, and I'm like, my son must have turned this thing on and it died out. So now I have to wait for it to charge up. So I'm recording on my laptop. That's why it's at this angle. But yeah, we here. Okay, we're doing our reviews. Our podcast is back. I got my glass of wine. I'm not gonna tell y'all what time it is, but we getting it in. Okay, so in this video, as you can tell by that title, I am going to give my unpopular opinion about black remakes. And I know y'all may come for me, and I don't care. I really don't care because somebody got to talk about it. When I was younger, I used to be vocal about this, but people used to come from my throat and I just didn't understand because I'm like, y'all can't be this bent out of shape about these black movies. And I get it, like especially back in the day, like when there were predominantly white movies and predominantly white cast in these movies and they were pretty decent. You're like, dang, why didn't they cast like one black person in this? Let's just, let's try to do a black version of these popular movies so that we can relate to it more. Like I get it. Trust me, I get the mental space of it, but I'm just like, we gotta call a spade a spade. Some of these remakes are trash, and I just don't like it. I'm like, why couldn't they just leave these films alone? So if you're wondering what films I'm talking about, I am being very specific. Two movies that we should just left the fuck alone. And that is Annie, yep, the little redhead orphan girl, and The Wizard of Oz. I can't stand The Wiz. Oh, I never liked that movie. Like going back to my childhood, bro, like I get why it was done, and I love the fact that they had such an amazing lineup of people to start in this movie. But what was lacking for me, the disconnect, was the wardrobe, the storyline, like it was just too different. And it turned into what was supposed to be a family adventure movie, a family fantasy adventure movie. They turned the shit into a damn thriller. Like, and they picked the perfect person to be in the thriller movie. Like, it was creepy. The wardrobes was atrocious. It was scary as shit. Yeah, and the songs, it's just, I think it was one song. That's that Michael Jackson song, was "Get Down the Road" or something like that. That was cute. But everything else, nah. Let me actually find my phone. Again, I just didn't like the wardrobes, the makeup, the whole storyline of the movie was so different from what we was used to, what we was presented with at first. Again, nothing wrong with wanting to have something a little bit different, like the whole Annie movie with Jamie Foxx and that black girl. I like the concept of it, but it just wasn't hitting the way that the original was. You had Miss Hannigan, and I liked Cameron Diaz as Miss Hannigan. I like her as an actress. So she, as a modern version of Miss Hannigan, I feel like she kind of did what she's supposed to do. But again, it could have been left alone. They didn't even bring Sandy the dog in until like the middle of the film. I watched this recently. I'm like, let me actually just watch this movie for the first time, because I was turned off when I had seen that they was making it. I'm like, why? What was wrong with the original? But when, I had watched it recently and I'm like, I get it. It's cute. It's not bad for like, a modern remake. But they had this girl like searching the streets trying to find her peoples, as opposed to Annie waiting for them to find her. I just don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just left the shit alone. I really like the first one. You can't knock the Daddy Wormwood, the old angry billionaire dude who had a soft spot for Annie and his homegirl who worked for him. It all makes sense. Like, it clicks so well. You didn't have to touch it. Don't touch what's not broken. And then the thing is with going back to the Wizard of Oz, don't touch what's not broken. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing wrong with the original. I don't care if it didn't have one black person. I don't care if the one black person they had was the freaking fly monkeys. And I know that sounds racist shit. I don't care. It was a good movie. It should have been left alone. But instead, they gave us the Wiz. So, aside from that, I do want to point out that there are some remakes that we have did that turned out really well. So, those will be Death at a Funeral. Okay, there is a all white version of that. I haven't seen it, but I haven't watched it, but I've seen like trailers and clips. I've seen the movie. I know it exists. So they have did the remake of that, and that was really funny. I like that movie. Guess Who? That's a remake because the other version of that was instead of bringing home a white guy to the black home, they was bringing a black guy to the white home. So that was a pretty good remake. I like that one with rest in peace Bernie Mac. You know, he was in there in that girl's thing, Sal something. That girl who be in Amazon. But yeah, I like that movie. And then of course The Little Mermaid, which was the live action remake of the animated version, which technically was pretty spot on because the daughters were named after the seven seas, and where Ariel was, based there, located in the Caribbeans, it made sense for her to be a black girl or a light skinned black girl. Like, that made sense. So I'm not knocking those movies. Like some movies, deserve to be remade if they're done right, if it had the right production and a good storyline. But sometimes we be so ready to just touch shit and make it our own, and it turns out like The Wiz. I would never, in a million years, ever say that's a good movie. Ever. So I know I'm being hella dramatic, but I don't care. I don't like that movie. I just don't like that movie. And Annie isn't as bad, but I guess, for me, it's just hitting home because these are movies that I used to watch like religiously when I was a child. Like my dad had recorded these movies on a VHS tape. And so literally you will get Annie, The Wizard of Oz, and then it was like The Muppets. Those three movies were recorded on the VHS tape together, okay? So I religiously watched these movies all the time on that one tape. And if I didn't feel like watching Annie, I fast forward it and go to The Wizard of Oz. So to see that they remade it and it turned out the way that it turned out, yeah, my feelings are hurt and I'm pretty upset about it. So that's my take on these remakes. I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Like, leave it alone, let it be. Okay? So that's my take on that. Let me know y'all thoughts on some of these remakes that we have done. Some remakes that, you might have seen that's like, okay, child, why? Like, let me know some remakes that just should have been left in the vaults. Leave your comments below and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.